And good afternoon. This is the Elliott Wave Weekly Update for the Dow Jones Industrial Average and being recorded on Sunday, June the 8th at 12:30 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. I'm here on my maximum monthly chart and just doing a quick review again here on the Dow and in the S&P 500. I have enough data where I can go back and begin with the grand super cycle where we are on the largest degree that Elliott recorded and started from, and then where I also start my long-term counts. So, starting there, we are or have finished the grand supercycle wave one in 1929. Now, mind you, my data here goes back to 1902. So 1929, the high of supercycle wave one, grand supercycle wave one, and the low in 1932, the low for grand supercycle wave 2. So we have 1 2 grand supercycle 1 2 supercycle degree, 1 2 cycle degree. So uh, just rolling forward real quick here, we are in what I believe, and I'm tracking as the finishing moves for cycle 3 high or cycle 3 completion point. Within cycle 3, there are going to be 5 waves of primary degree. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we are in primary wave 5 of cycle wave 3. And I could add the others, but we're only going to stop right there on the cycle degree. Now, within primary wave 5, there are going to be 5 waves of intermediate degree. So let's bring this down. Let's bring it to the 5-year. And so I'll take it back there for just a second. There'll be, and within primary 5, there are 5 waves of intermediate degree, 1, 2, 3, and 4 complete. Now I'll bring it down to the 5-year. There's intermediate wave 3 of primary 5, intermediate wave 4 of primary wave 5. So we're in intermediate wave 5 of primary wave 5 of cycle wave 3. What's going to be inside intermediate wave 5? 5 waves of minor degree. Mind you, intermediate wave 5 began in October of 2022. So we're 2 years, 2.5 years into this intermediate 5th wave. Now, there'll be 5 waves of minor degree, of which we have 1, 2, 3, and 4 complete. Minor wave 4 of intermediate wave 5 finished on April the 7th, not so long ago. So from April the 7th, we've been tracking the development of a minor 5th wave, which will then complete minor wave 5, intermediate wave 5, primary wave 5, cycle wave 3. Inside of minor wave 5, let me bring it back down now to the daily chart. What's going to be inside? 5 waves of intermediate degree. 1, 2, 3, 5 waves of minute degree. Wow. 1, 2, 3, and 4 on the minute degree. Those are within minor wave 5. And so we are in minute wave 5 of minor wave 5 of intermediate wave 5 of primary wave 5 of cycle wave 3. Now we're inside of minute wave 5, and you can just track it all the way back to that high of cycle wave 3. We, in my opinion, and I've been counting this out as carefully as I can, including all moves and adjusting and extending the waves, so as not to underestimate the power of this finishing rally or the potential of how high it could get. I am not looking at this as like a breakout new bull market. I just do not see it. There are too many other factors wrapping itself around this market that would preclude that it's not the beginning of a new bull market. It is definitely not the beginning. This particular phase of the bull market began in October of 2022. And prior to that, the next larger section began in May or April of 2009. We had one section that actually began in March of 2020. So each time we've had these large drawdowns, these large corrections, it normally was marking a wave two or a wave four. And therefore we started the next sequence, the next larger sequence up. So we can go back and we can count those. So we're now minor wave five is the last larger sequence that completed at the beginning of April. So we're inside minor wave five, which would be the last leg up. And we can break that down into the minute, which I'm doing. And so we're in minute wave five of minor wave five of intermediate wave five of primary wave five of cycle wave three. Now let's go inside and see how high we can get. So within this minute wave four, we got a 1-2-1-2 going on. And so I'm going to take it off the daily. Let's bring it down to the hourly. Now we're inside. See, there's that minute four. We have 1, 2, and this was difficult. I gotta say, if you've already watched my S&P and you watched if you're a member, if you're part of the membership and you watch the S&P and you watch the Nasdaq, you realize this was not easy. This was not an easy count because if I was counting it just as minuets, boy, it kept coming back down and crossing, come back down and crossing. But I believe I finally got it together because the market revealed all. So minuet wave one, minuet wave two, subdividing inside minuet wave three. So we have sub minuet wave one, sub minuet wave two, and then we gap to begin minuet wave three. Now that gap up in the Dow on Friday, right? So this is on the 6th of June. It was powerful. That's where we closed and that's where we opened. So it gapped up 300 almost, and then just kept going. So it was a very substantial rally, finishing the day up 443, and that was on a down tick, right? So the high on Friday was 42,924. So it's just about back to 43,000. Now, we need to get back above 45,000 before we're done, before we're creating new all-time highs. This was a great jump start to getting up into those levels. So minute wave five, there's minuet wave one, minuet wave two. Now we're in minuet wave three, of which we have one and two. Three started off with a gap, pullback. So is that another 1, 2? And if it is, as I said, in the other two equity markets that I cover, I believe that we are about ready to just gap again towards the upside. Now, it could be a result of gamma that expired on Friday being large enough that put walls, call walls, and volatility triggers moving now because of the expiration. So if we go outside of what's going to create the underlying bias for this to happen, I think it's not going to come via good news in the bonds, via good news in interest rates, via great news from one of these companies, how much money they're going to make, et cetera. I believe it really is now going to come down. What's going to force the market higher and lower are going to be breaks in volatility, are going to be the market in the options reacting to gamma levels, to breaks in certain levels where the market gets pushed in one direction or the other. So breaking higher, it's going to cause buying. That's going to be the hedge. The hedge and the lifting of hedges might be to buy, to correct a position. So when it becomes that way, and as we move higher in these markets, we're going to find gamma levels that are much stiffer and have a lot more sitting there. So when they go to penetrate, when they go to break through them, it's going to force this larger adjustment, a larger covering, a larger whatever we want to call it. It will start to exist and it will push that market faster and quicker. We saw Friday that the SPX, the cash market in the S&P, closed at 6,000. That's major because 6,000 has been a wall. Call it the call wall. That's what it was. And it has been solid, impenetrable. We saw the S&P for a week go up and try it, fail, go up and try it and fail, until finally on Friday. And you know why? Because on Thursday they moved the call wall in the S&P from 6,000 to 6,100. So whoever was sitting there with that big of a position moved it, at least for Friday's expiration. But I must say, and I'm going to add, because of that position and for the June 20th expiration, which is the monthly expiration for June, there is still a very large amount of gamma sitting at 6,000 in the June 20s that expire in the morning in the SPX. So we still have a lot out there. We still have a lot to deal with, but I have no idea how it's going to go and affect the balance. So in other words, if they start moving it and getting it out of the way, then I think, yeah, we could just go finish this all up in June, which I've been looking for anyway. And if I'm looking for something, what's going to power this whole thing higher, it is going to be, I think, the gamma levels. It's going to be the options trade that are going to have to they will force the buying simply by the action that's going to be taken to move things around. All right, so here in the Dow, I think if we have for wave three, just doing simple fibs, wave three would be 100% of wave one at 42,000. Let's just call it 43,000, 42,996, 997. Might as well say 43,000. But 1.618 is 43,488. And I think that's very achievable. Maybe not all for Monday. Don't forget, we're coming in we're going to start Monday, at least the cash market comes in at 42,763. So depending on what happens in this futures market overnight, also within Asia and European markets, I would think if we're going to go up, the market, the Dow cash is going to gap. And it could very likely gap above here, depending on how hard it gets pushed over Sunday to Monday. If not, I think we could come in Monday and we're up here. It's still going to gap and then gap and run rather than gap and fall. So if I'm looking at this and look at this is 1, 2, 1, 2, and there could be another small 1, 2. We get a 3, 4, 5 up to here. That completes this third. Then we do a 4 and we got to come back in a 5 and that completes this third. And that could come in 1.618, 43,655, 656. The minute, so we all go up 1 degree, you're going to see where our resistance is going to come in. And for minute wave 5, 0.618 is 43,944. I don't think that's going to control it or stop it. I just think it could be a pause level because we can't forget. I'm just going to take it back out to the daily. I should be able to see there's the high, our all-time high, or is it going to be over here? 45,073. Yeah, 45,073, or is it a little bit higher? Yeah, 45,073. Just call it 45,075. Let's just make it easy. That's the all-time high. Minor wave 5 needs to get above it to complete. Anything underneath is a failure. So this, I think, could be a pause. And for all I know, it's going to finish minute wave 3. So we have all this resistance to get across and then to get back across for minute 3. And it could just be finished in minute wave 3. Excuse me, minuet wave 3. Whew, too many mins. Minuet wave 3 could be finishing up from between here and here. So I do believe it's resistance on a minute degree, but it's strong enough to put a pause in the market, but not strong enough to kill it. So in other words, to produce a failure where the wave 5 comes in there and we fail. If it should happen, at least we've got something going on. We know what it is. But I'm not looking for that right now. Again, on a minute degree, here we have it. 100% is 45,551 new all-time highs. Then we're dealing with that minor degree, right? It's already past the 100%. So what's left in the minor is 1.618. Not that I'm saying it's going to get there, But on a minor degree, if we start surpassing these, then it can come into play depending on what the count is. Being that we're in a minute fifth wave, if we extend beyond this, it's just an extension within that fifth wave, and I'd start looking for 46,183. Above that, I have more, but I'm not necessarily looking for those levels just yet, because that would be the minute fifth wave, 1.618. There would have to be a blast from the past, something to really just force this cover. And because and it could be nothing more than you're forcing a short covering that they have to do because they don't want to lose the money. So they just go out and buy it. Then the computers just are on buy mode and they're just taking it all back. Not necessarily getting long to ride it out, but just getting out of the short. All right, so that is this market now. I'm back out on that daily. Let me put it up here. Let's take a look at our moving averages, and we can see that within the Dow, it just happened on Friday. See how they were clustering together? We had the 30, the orange is the 78, the magenta is the 200, and they are still grouping together, but just now beginning to fall into place to be in alignment to go up. So if we have a continuation, that 30 and that 78 are going to break away from that 200. They're now just both barely above it. In fact, I can just do that. You see it? They're both. There's the 200, there's the 78, there's the 30, and there's the 8. They're in alignment, but I need that to improve. And I think that if we have some strength here from the market, which I believe it started, and we start to break again, which I believe we will, then I think we start to put some space in between here. The 30 will definitely start to climb, and the 50 should go beyond. If we have another strong up day, they'll start to space out, and I think that'll be a positive for the markets. All right, let's go over and take a look at the YM. Basically same pattern, so I'm just going to start here on the daily. There's the minor 4. We have minuet 1, minuet 2, minuet 3, minuet 4, or minute. Wow. Forgive me because I keep interchanging these and calling them the wrong thing, and I know that can be confusing. Minor wave 5 in progress. Minute wave 1, 2, 3, and 4 is complete. We're in minute wave 5 up. The early projection for wave 5 to equal wave 1, which was pretty large, if you remember, that was the day where we got this humongous turn in the market, and the market and the Dow ended up over 3,000 points in one day. When the president decided he was going to pause all of these tariffs on China and basically said down here at the bottom, I don't know, it might be a good time to buy. Yeah, point of contention. So, but in any case, let's just take a look. Here we're in, that's minute wave 4, minute wave 5 projects, first of all, 618. Yeah, I don't think, like in the cash market, I don't think it's going to stop it. I think it might be an area for this small third wave to kind of come in, maybe, but I even think that small third wave might even pull up to here because I think the minuet, the minuet, the minuet third wave comes up to 44,408. So maybe this one for this 618 that finishes the sub minuet wave 3 at 43,598-ish in that area. We pull back in a small fork, come back up to finish the minuet wave 3 at 43,976 to 44,000. And minuet wave 3 does project up to 1.618 of wave 1 to 44,408. And I think it could get there. Come down into 4, go back up into 5. So I think 100% at 45,672 in the cash, actually looks pretty good. Outside of that, we have that minor 1.618, mind you. Here, we're still in play for that 100% marker, which I think it could, again, just provide us with some resistance, but I don't think it's going to stop it. So, but we have a big cluster right there. Once we get above 43,000, we've got a big cluster. from 43,341, 43,447, and 43,598. Big cluster of resistance right there, which could be completing thirds and nothing in there because that one's got to come up above. But we have for these two, for the third there and for the third here. We got a lot. And so it could be the third in this level, we come down in a 4, and then the third in this level comes in closer up here. And then it would be the 5 in that level. So, right, because it's going to be the sub minuet wave 5 to finish the minuet wave 3. So a lot of resistance up in there. And once we get that all done, it can free flow again until we start getting into wave 5s. And then we're looking for the ultimate finish. So a lot going on, but we're getting there. We're getting there. Now, again, same thing here. We have, but it's all just kind of beginning. We're looking for the 30 and see the 50, excuse me, the 78 is just crossing. And we need the 30 to get up there as well. And we need a little bit more strength in the market. And then it'll start to space out, and that'll be very supportive for continuation to the upside. And that's going to be it for the Dow. And the next update will be next week, unfortunately. But as I mentioned in the precious metals, I am pretty much in wrapping myself around a decision that to start the broader memberships that I had talked about, where I list everything that I publish, will be made available to a general membership. And that price will be, I believe, I'm looking at about $20. So it's about a dollar a day. And there are 20 trading days each month. So we're talking about $20. You get everything that I publish. And that would be the S&P, the NASDAQ, the Dow, the Russell, gold, silver, platinum, and the bonds. So that will all be put in. And I'm looking to start that on July the 1st, because don't forget, folks, I also have to deal with my current membership, which are basically now getting the S&P and the NASDAQ. Also, which will be coming in at the same time, will be a live stream. And it's going to be like a trade room, but we're going to call it a live stream. And I just have to determine if I'm going to bill it through YouTube or going to bill it separately. May decide and cave in and give it to YouTube because it's just easier as a group to sell that. And that would be access to the live stream, and it will not be for $20 a month, I'll tell you that. But it will be a little bit more, and it would be all inclusive again, where you get everything that I publish plus access to the live stream. Okay, that's to come. And the next update on this will be next week.